Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome again. I think I need to move in a little closer to Wantrepreneur Wednesday. So, for those of you that I don't know, because I come on and I think everybody that's tuning in knows who I am and what I do, but maybe you don't. My name is Patricia Cimino. I'm a certified life coach, and I work with people, specifically mostly women, who are stepping into the next chapter of themselves. And I help them to build a strong, positive mindset and embrace fierce self-care strategies so they can do what they're passionate about with clarity and confidence and optimism. And a lot of the women that I work with, they want to, in this next chapter of themselves, they want to do something entrepreneurial. They want to do something with purpose and meaning. So I've been coaching over this last year a lot of women on that path. So I came up with this little fun idea to interview current entrepreneurs that I know. And here's the really crazy thing. When I looked at all my contact list, like 80% of the women in my contact list were entrepreneurs.
Oh,
isn't that crazy?
surprising.
So today I want to introduce to you a dear friend of mine and neighbor and fellow entrepreneur. Her name is Molly Hughes, and she has a company called College Bound Consulting. And I'm going to let her share her entrepreneurial journey with you. So Molly?
I'm so happy to be here. It's interesting that people want to hear about my journey. I hope I can lend some insight to how I got to where I am.
Absolutely. So why don't you just explain who you are, what the name of your business is, and what exactly you do.
Okay, so College Bound Consulting is a consultancy based in Hinsdale in the Chicago area. We also have an office in Washington, D.C. now. And what we do is we help families navigate the college search and application process, a process that if anyone has been paying attention or has children knows is complicated, expensive, stressful, and we try to take stress out of the situation by bringing expertise to the family and kind of let the parents step back a little bit and letting the students really take charge of the process with us as their coaches.
Cool. That is so cool and so needed.
Yeah.
I've had two kids go through the process of college or, applying to colleges. They're now in college. They've used her services. Fantastic. So it is a hairy process. How did you get here? Tell the audience how you got here.
So, reflecting on how I got here, it wasn't exactly a linear path. Okay. And I think that's the first thing I'd say is that's okay. It's not like one day I woke up and said, gee, I would like to be a college counselor. But about 10 years ago, I started thinking, gosh, I'd like to do something with my skills and my talents that doesn't compromise my commitment to my family. I have 4 children. At the time, my eldest was 9 years old. So it was a little earlier than maybe some people are thinking about getting onto that next chapter. But I felt like, wow, if I could find that thing and do it well and not compromise my commitments as a mother and wife, then wouldn't that be dreamy? So maybe that was a high goal to hit. And that's why it took a while for me to figure out what that thing was. I think one of the things I did first was I started telling people that I was looking for an opportunity. And I think it's okay to say, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm interested in doing something. And I talked about it with good friends, my friends who were, bright, involved in the world and understood me. And that started to get me also committed to the idea of I'm going to do something now. And it elicited opportunities. Okay. So part of it is just being a little brave and saying, even saying to my husband and my family, like, mom's looking for something. So then I started examining where my core strengths are and what I love doing. Like, what is it that I have always been good at? And interestingly, recently, my mother gave me a box of stuff from my childhood. And I was cleaning up the basement and I went through it. This is like 2 weeks ago. And there were stacks of papers of my writing that she had saved from the time I was 5 years old. I was published in little local school publications. And so one of the things I've always loved is writing and reading and storytelling. And so I just saw this 2 weeks ago and I realized, of course, well, that's what I do. I help kids tell their story, students tell their story in a college application to put their best voice forward, their best personality forward. And I coach them through that process, much of which involves writing and storytelling. So that was one thing. I realized also that I really love teenagers, especially other people's teenagers. So I looked at actually teaching. I thought maybe I'd missed my calling. I have an MBA. I was in the business world. And I thought, gosh, I really like teenagers and mentoring. I'd been a camp counselor. So I really dug deep and thought, what is going to make me okay with actually cutting into my family time a little bit? What are those, it wasn't crunching numbers and it wasn't a bunch of other things I had been doing. And so when I started realizing that, and combined with telling people I was sort of looking for something, an opportunity came up, perhaps sooner than I had thought it would, but I knew I had to take it. And that was that my friend Anita had started doing college counseling and she needed help. She needed someone to come on board. And I just said, yep, I'm going to do it. That's how I started.
That's how you started.
Yeah.
And
that was in 2009, 2010.
And okay, so that's not a very long time ago, you guys. And I just want to share with you, we'll get to it, but like she's grown this to multiple people and multiple locations in this short amount of time. So
while raising the kids, and they seem to be okay.
Yeah. But you're okay. That's the whole thing. You are okay. Yeah, so that's why your kids are okay.
Yeah.
So if you had to say what your big why is, what would be your big why for wanting to do this? Like you probably didn't need to really go back to work, but why? Why did you decide to do this?
Okay, there's the personal fulfillment you get from, I love helping people. But monetizing that, getting paid to do it is super great too, to be honest. So I'm happy working with these students. And so this one-on-one coaching that I do, I'm with them on the journey, as are all of my counselors. And so you really need to love teenagers and helping them through what is arguably the biggest decision of their lives and the most complicated one and the most expensive one for them and their parents. So that's why I do it. And that's why I keep doing it. And that's why during the hard times that gets me through, because I love my clients. I don't know how else to describe it.
And that's why her business has grown. That's why, you guys, because she loves what she does. Yes, exactly. So what has been the biggest challenge of this entrepreneurial route that you've taken? Because you've worked corporate, right?
Yep. I was big brand manager and all that stuff.
Right. We actually worked together. We didn't know each other, but we worked together way back at Helene Curtis many, many moons ago. Okay. So what's been your biggest entrepreneurial challenge?
I think just you're always on. You own it. And so when there are challenges, you feel that sometimes in the middle of the night. On the other hand, you feel the joys and successes of your team, not just of your own clients, because we each have our own set of clients. And so you feel the ups and downs, I guess, a little more acutely. But the biggest challenge has been balancing growth or achieving growth in a logical, thoughtful way that personally doesn't overwhelm me, doesn't overwhelm my business partner, Loretta, and in a way that makes sense while not stifling growth. So one of the challenges is in my kind of business, which is a service, business. Should I take on that next client if I feel overwhelmed? And the answer is no. You need to be willing to say, hey, we're at where we need to be, even if I have to turn that client away and maybe guide them to someone else in my business. That sort of hurts, right? That's a challenge to be able to do that. But once you learn to do it well, you realize it's the right thing. So it's managing growth thoughtfully, not growing too quickly, knowing what quickly is, what too quickly is. That's sort of, and that can change over time. 1 year it might be different than the next year.
Yeah. So this is a very good question that I'm going to ask you then, because, for me, it's all about the mindset. So what is the mindset that you have to employ for those challenging moments in the middle of the night when you wake up overwhelmed?
The mindset. I think part of it is you need to be true to who you are in your vision. So, I mean, Loretta and I sat down when she came on. So my business partner came on in 2013. So I have a co-owner, which is fabulous because we can bounce ideas off of one another, share ideas. We communicate in a very good way. We're not afraid of challenging one another, letting the other sort of win. There's no tension with us, which is great. So one thing is just to have the mindset that we will work through the challenges, the confidence to know that we have the skills to work through them. And then to figure out, what's urgent and what's important. A lot of things that are important aren't urgent, and a lot of things that are urgent just need to be managed. So in your day to day, so you don't lose your mind, I try to make lists of what do I need to address today? What's really critical to our mission and what we need to do? And how do I just get to the next, couple of hours, even a day to have the space, the mind space to make the right decision. And often it involves writing down my ideas, calling Loretta will call me, and just working it through. But really it's the confidence, the mindset that we're offering a great product, a great service. And even if we stumble along the way a little bit, it'll be okay. We'll find our way out of it. We're smart. We're creative.
That's it right there, you guys. That's her mindset. This mindset that she's confident in what she has to offer the market. She knows that she's the best at it. And that even if there's an error or a wrong detour, she's going to get back up again. That is the mindset of a successful entrepreneur. Completely.
I guess so.
You nailed it, girl.
Was that right?
You nailed it.
That one right.
Anyways, Mary Pat, Joy, Terry, thank you for joining us. Are you enjoying this? Thumbs up if you are. I see Mary Pat threw us a thumbs up. Great. Throw some hearts if you're getting good value out of this. I love seeing hearts. Let me ask you, what is the best thing you love about being an entrepreneur?
I'm always learning. It's just this mindset that, I'm in a dynamic business, and I suspect every business at some level is dynamic if you dig down into it, right? My mind is always fertile and finding something new. So I'm kind of a hyper person. I don't know if you can tell, but I like to learn a lot. Like I watch the news, I read the headlines. Like I'm a little bit of I just want information and I want to think about these things. So in a way I almost need to learn to be bored. So I do yoga and Pilates and other things that help me just not be overwhelmed with my ideas. But for someone who's excited about ideas and challenge, it's endless. So the downside is you have to put it to bed at night and be able to sleep. And I've learned to do that. You turn off the phone, you put your computer away. I'm into mystery novels. I read a mystery novel that gets me totally absorbed. But when I turn on, it's just exciting. I don't know. It's just very exciting.
You're in love with what you do.
I do love what I do. And I love the when a student finds the right school and is so happy, and I get like a text with tons of loving emojis from the student, even from the boys. I just think, well, of course, this is why I do this.
Yeah. What advice would you have to a woman who's kind of contemplating this entrepreneurial route?
Be brave. Now, how do you find bravery and confidence? Know what, like I said from the beginning, kind of know what you're good at and know that match what you're good at with an opportunity out there. So you have to search for the opportunity. But if you know what your skill base is, and there's always room for learning and growth, but what at your core do you love and are you good at? And you match that with an opportunity, that combination should give you confidence that I can move forward with this. And the other thing I'd say is don't be overwhelmed by how big the mountain is before you. Take the next step. Establish an LLC. Start blogging. Put up a little website. These things aren't that complicated. Get that first client or that first product made. So every day it's like kind of like, put one foot in front of the other. Once you look back, you'll realize, oh, I've accomplished quite a bit. And before you know it, we have 7 people now. We have an office in DC. And we've never put an ad out for the next employee.
All referral business.
All referral. The counselors have found us. I have an amazing team of people. That's the other thing that gets me excited as an entrepreneur. I'm a team person. I'm a collaborative worker. I love the women I work with. They are so smart. They're so talented. My business partner rocks. She has talents that I don't have. I bring things to the table that she doesn't have. So that's exciting as you grow. But at the beginning, it's a little bit scary. Can I do it? Don't doubt that you can do it. And even when those little scary things come to talk to you and say, oh, it's too much, just what's the next step I can take to move forward?
Yeah,
And
that's actually the
yeah.
motto that I use with people that I work with. So, and if you are just catching this and you're wondering, that is something that I do help women with. But my big motto is forget the how, right? Forget the business strategy or the business plan. Just take the next best step that feels good to you. Keep taking
right,
it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. What is the best mistake you've ever made? I love to ask entrepreneurs that question.
I've made no mistakes. I'm kidding. I make mistakes probably somewhat frequently. The other good thing about getting to a point where we have partners is we catch one another before we fall. No mistake, or I wouldn't say no mistake, but few mistakes are fatal to your business. Some would say the one mistake I made was, or we made, is, turning away a client, limiting growth. But like I said, once we learn to do that when we had to, we don't do it often. I'm always trying to stay ahead. Like, where's our next room for a counselor who can then take on that next client? But it's better to know your limitations once you get to a point where you have clients and a product. And that's kind of a mistake that feels a little bit painful at the beginning. And then you realize it's really not a mistake. It's what you had to do to get to the next level in your business.
Yeah.
So I guess sort of saying the other mistake you could make is doing too much. Sort of saying, oh, I'm a college counselor. Maybe I should be also a career counselor. Maybe I should be a life coach. Maybe, you can grow horizontally. And really at the end, the key is for me not to stick to what we're good at, but also see opportunities, bring in talent that complements mine. There's so many smart, terrific women out there and men. So I'm always on the look for who's that next person that's going to be a great team player. And yeah, I guess the other thing is if you get to a point where you have a team, support one another. There's too many corporate positions and stories in the big corporate world where women especially undermine women. It's kind of a nasty truth out there. Let's support one another. Respect your peers. I don't hold back in helping my colleagues. They don't hold back in helping me. It's in our best interest to help one another, but it also is just the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all. Where can people find you?
collegeboundconsulting.com, collegeboundconsulting.com. We're starting to do a little social media, so you can find us on Facebook occasionally. Yeah, that's how you find us. Email, call, whatever way you choose to reach us. We'll be eager to hear from anyone who's interested in college counseling.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Molly. And if you like this video, as always, like it, share it, spread it out to those you love, especially to these other, people who might be, might have a need for college-bound counseling, or someone who might be looking for that next chapter and need some guidance. Please share this with them as well. And that entrepreneurial woman that might have this idea, but she just can't get it out of here and out here, right? Yeah. So shoot them my way. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you.